Want to get a research grant from a private donor? I'm going to tell you all about that right now. Hey everybody, I'm Leigh Hall from teachingacademia.com, and I'm all about giving you the tools you need to navigate academia and make your best impact. Today we're talking about getting research grants from private donors. Did you know this was possible? It is completely possible, and it's something that I have managed to achieve myself a couple of times now in my career. So what do you need to know about this? So first of all, individuals and sometimes entire families support research at your institution, right? And for families, there are some families that have a long-standing tradition of donating to, those causes, those agendas that they're really passionate about. All right. Now, you're not going to find this on like a website, right? It's not like a list of people saying, hey, send us an application. That's not really how this works. Okay. So you should have a person at your university who knows what donors might be interested in funding your work. And this is something that a department chair or a dean can help you with. There might be some faculty members that have been around for a little bit that might have some insight into this, but you're going to want to connect with the appropriate person at your university. So where I am at now, we have a person who works specifically with our college and works with donors in relation to our college. And so I will tell you that, I had a project going, I needed funding, and the guy at our university that works with donors, we had a conversation about my work, and he's like, I really think I know somebody that would be willing to fund this. And I ended up with $100,000 over the course of 2 years, right? So I had $50,000 a year for 2 years. That's good. I'm happy with that. I can do a lot with that in my field. So, but getting to that point where I got that money, you really have to follow the person at your institution that you're working with. You have to follow their lead. You have to do what they say. So when they tell you this is the kind of information that you need to write up, this is the length that it needs to be, don't use jargon, highlight more of this, take out, more of this, less of that. They know the donor that they're going to be approaching and working with. They have built a relationship with this person. So when they're giving you advice about the things that they need from you to share with that donor, then just follow their lead. They know what they're doing. It's not going to look like a typical grant application. The other thing that you need to know is there's no timeline for when you will get an answer for something like this, okay? This is all about relationship building and why the person at your institution sees as being a good way to bring this to the attention of a potential donor, okay? So I know for me, we had this conversation in the fall about somebody who might be a good donor, a good fit for my work, and who would be really interested in supporting my work. And then I submitted some documents a few months later, and then I kind of never heard anything. And I think it was 6 or 7 months from the time I handed over the information about my project that, I ran into my person at the university, and he was like, oh, by the way, you have $100,000 and you're going to be getting that in the next 30 days. So, like in September, be ready to go with that. Okay, great, I am. And then the other thing to know is that you're not necessarily going to interact with the donor. You may never meet your donor. I have had 3 or 4 one-on-one conversations with my donor. I've had 1 phone call. I've had a couple lunches with other people in attendance. I've had some email communication sharing with him some really interesting things that are happening with the work. But all of that, for the most part, especially a phone call, especially having lunches with the donors, I look to my person at the university to help me understand who this donor is, what are things that they're really going to want to hear about, what are things that they're not interested in, don't talk to them about it, it's a big turnoff kind of a thing. So really listen to the person that's at your university, really listen to their guidance and follow it, because they've worked hard to cultivate a strong relationship with this donor. And this donor, if this donor does support your work, then as you move into that relationship, you just want to be mindful of your interaction. So outside of sharing like big wins with my donor, I really don't share too much information unless I've been advised to do so. Okay, so you want to do what is asked of you here in terms of how often you interact with your donor and how the kinds of information you communicate with your donor. And then again, just like with most of the grants that I'm talking about in this series, this only covers direct costs. So it'll fund your research, it'll get you to where you need to be, doesn't pay for indirect costs. And again, as I've mentioned before, make sure that you're aware of, how like a private donor or anything that's not a federally funded grant, how that might impact your tenure and promotion. So anyways, if you like this video, you want to see more, click right here, and I will see you over in the next one.